Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video really. I've been thinking a lot about Blackstone Fortress lately, and I love the lore of UR025, the whole Men of Iron and the Dark Age of technology. The whole thing, it always sticks in my head when I think about 40k. I don't really think about Space Marines, I don't think about Eldar, I think of the early millennium of the human race. When I think about what Games Workshop or the writers of these stories would have come up with, when I think about what their inspiration would have come from, I guess I think of all sci-fi, like a combination of all things. Blade Runner, for example, is a big one, I think, and then Mad Max obviously is another one when you think about the techno-barbarians. But even then, when you think about techno-barbarians, I am thinking of a tech-savvy Dark Age. There's still vehicles, there's still flying vehicles, there's still the technology, there's still the science. It's just that everyone is battling in a world that's been dying for a long time. So when I start to think about these things, it usually happens when I'm drawing, and I haven't been drawing it a long time. I've been working and painting on Warhammer stuff for so long, past couple of years, and I've stopped drawing. I use Procreate a lot to make some of my clips and a lot of my effects as well. And lately I thought, oh man, I want to get back into drawing, so this is what I've been doing. But when I draw, I start thinking about lore in particular. And there's one story that I've been thinking about lately regarding Blackstone Fortress in my past videos is Ancient History by Andy Chambers. Now the story, man, that it seems like the main story of it is about a kid or a young man who's recruited into some ancient spaceship, and inside there's either some sort of AI machine part man that's helping him out. And oh man, the story of a man just lived in one island, the story that he tells that young man, it sticks in my head all the time when it comes to lore and the dark age of technology. And I wanted to do that more. I wanted to expand on that with my videos in regards to a story, a backstory for UR025. And I never finished it, and I never actually finished it. But what I wanted, I always think of what these men of stone, men of iron, men of gold, what they looked like, and a lot of the artwork online really shows, like, I guess what would have become if they had been tainted by chaos. But before that, I always wonder what they would look like. And I think to a lot of science fiction, and the inspiration, I guess, comes from like movies such as Blade Runner. They would have just looked a lot human. The very first editions, like or the Men of Gold. Now I imagine they would have had a much longer lifespan. I imagine they would have been almost immortal. So my guess, the character in ancient history would have been a man of gold or a man of iron. Now, the men of stone, who were made by the men of gold, they had a half-life, which allowed them to travel through space and not get tainted by chaos. But it was the men of iron who had an AI, and also, I imagine, a much longer lifespan because they're more robotic. There were machines of construction and war. But the men of gold would have still been around, I guess. They say, the law says that they became extinct, and it was just the men of stone who stayed around. But it makes you wonder if their consciousness could have been transferred onto other machines, other being kind of like ghosts in the shell. So my thoughts lately have been a lot on what they would have looked like, because I want to make characters for Blackstone Fortress. What I'm trying to work on is I'm working on a Blackstone Fortress too. So I don't want the main characters from the first one, and I guess there's going to be a lot of spoilers in it if you haven't played the full game. But I don't want to use the original characters. I want to use kind of like create your own character and have an experience system like Necromunda. So spoilers ahead. So in Blackstone Fortress, what happens is the Blackstone Fortress swallows Precipice and takes everyone, including the heroes, somewhere else. And some of the heroes end up becoming part of the Blackstone Fortress, and doesn't really say what happens, except that they realize that their destiny is to live within it for the rest of their existence. But Precipice, they remain, all the civilians, all the characters, all the mob, I guess, or the citizens of Precipice, who have mostly consist, I imagine, of not rogue traders. Though I imagine there will be some rogue traders there too, but apart from the characters. But they would have mostly consisted of runaways, treasure hunters, expeditioners, and criminals. These guys would not be the friendliest of bunch. Not like 40k really is, but from the lore, human race are a hateful bunch, and that would have been the majority of the survivors on Precipice. And what happens is they stay behind, and all of Precipice has been sorted up. So a lot of people would have died, but there were survivors. And the survivors, oh man, can you imagine? Imagine what would have happened. I'm thinking, as soon as they realized what's happened, there would have been riots for resources. There would have been, tribal mentality, gangs, groups. But yeah, man, like that sort of scenario automatically screams Necromunda style battle system. But I am also thinking, what if someone took charge? What if like not the Chaos Marines, but a renegade Space Marine group, like a little squad, maybe of 5, and someone beefy like a captain is in charge of a remaining renegade Space Marine chapter that are no longer there. That are no longer existent. There's just 5 of them left. Especially now, there's only 5 of them left because they've been sorted up and been taken away by the Blackstone Fortress. Now, like thinking about it, if I was stuck in that place, and a Space Marine captain all of a sudden started taking charge, started saying, "Look, what we can do is this, and that, and we can get out of here." There's a little tiny bit of hope. This is the Space Marines, man. Space Marines. A lot of humans might not even seen Space Marines, and when you hear about their stories through traveling, I imagine he's like, "Fuck yes, man! All right, let's do it. Let's try work together." So what would get them out of that? In the lore, the Blackstone Fortress all of a sudden begins to just swallow up Precipice. For me, and then it disappears. I automatically think this thing's hungry. So where would it go? The first thing that I thought would be like this is more reference to sci-fi stories, but like a space hulk or like a ship graveyard. It's just some old battle, and there's just a graveyard of ancient warships, space hulks, and this Blackstone Fortress all of a sudden appears there, and it starts to feed on these machines. Now, if the survivors realizes all of a sudden everything's shifting, everything's moving around, new areas are appearing, new ancient hulks or parts of machines are appearing, maybe they can put something together to escape. But where would the Blackstone Fortress have taken them? It's not just another part of space, but also another time. And what if this graveyard is what's left of a battle between the Men of Iron and the human race back in wherever M12, M21 I think it was, that's the date. If that was the case, then imagine what they could find. They could find survivors, Men of Iron, the tainted ones, the dark ones. And that's what I want to create for the Blackstone Fortress. I want to create the cards and the survivors fighting against this new threat. Dark Mechanicus, allied with Men of Iron, on top of what the Blackstone Fortress already has in store for them. The Guardians, the drones, surviving Beastmen, of course. And a system where a player can just create their own character and play either against the Blackstone Fortress, like solo play, or a Warcry / Necromunda style game against other players. That's my thoughts for now anyways, guys. I just wanted to let you know that I'm still working on Cursed City. Cursed City, I am doing my playthroughs of my adventures, my journeys, and they'll be coming up soon. Thanks, guys. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment of any thoughts of what I've just done.
And check us out on Instagram as well.
Of what I've just talked about here.